With the strike officially over, I'll have more on that tomorrow with the video. Rachel Zegler is now completely and totally without rein, and she can go out there, hit the red carpet, and say whatever she wants in promotion of the Hunger Games, even though she ended up getting that waiver last week at some point, and now she can say whatever she wants, and she's out there walking the red carpet in London right now, and well, it looks like she got herself some better advisors in the Gap, and she didn't say a goddamn thing. She just turned out in some, I don't know, goofy ass looking dress, just pulling some odd facial expressions and, I don't know, wearing something that looks like a cross between what your grandmother would throw as a table runner on the dining room table and what a whore would wear to a funeral. It's whatever, man. Like, she needs all the help that she can get being as mid as she's at, and well, looking at the movie and she's out there promoting, okay, it looks like birds of a feather molt together, but we'll have more on that next week, okay? But Rachel, we're going to be hearing from her in the long term because we know she at least has one, and she also has several other projects on the docket, but the big one that's going to be coming in 2025, we're going to have a full year of promotion. We're talking about that Snow White joint, and she also has a co-star in that one. A co-star who is equally as charismatic, and for whatever reason, I can think of don't have a bell here, for very different reasons, she continues to get work. I really, outside of the obvious, don't really know why that continues to happen, but we're talking about Gal Gadot, and she was making headlines of another way, and from another endeavor that she took on in the Gap during the strike. And well, she was out there inciting a riot? Like, what the hell is she out here doing? Gal Gadot is seen for the first time since her screening of Hamas terror attack film ended in mass brawls between pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian protesters in Los Angeles. Is she gonna end up catching a stint for inciting a riot by having her war propaganda film play out? Because, yeah, we're going to be mixing everything in this little video right here. Gal Gadot was seen for the first time since her screening of footage of the Hamas terror attack on October 7th, ended in mass brawls outside the Los Angeles Museum of Tolerance on Wednesday. How adorable that she gets to screen what is ostensibly a one-sided resuscitation of events. Good thing that she waited a couple of days for more information to come out, but no. Just screen what you have. The actress, 38, was seen running errands in Los Angeles with her young daughters. Come here, we need to go. I need to go to the bank so we can see your uncle. Hours after pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian protesters clashed outside the museum. The star wore a black hoodie, paired with matching sweatpants for her outing. Yeah, that's wonderful and fantastic. I don't know, it looks like a bum. I frankly don't care. I just want to get to the violence part where her screening of this. Okay, I've also got another video planned for tomorrow where the bar for groups to be held liable for other people's decisions has been dropped so low that you would think that there would be some repercussions from this. But Gal's she's on the bright side of this. We'll just leave that there. A 47-minute footage provided by the IDF. Wow! Guys, come and see our government propaganda. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Was aired to a select audience of celebrities and influential personalities in Los Angeles and New York on Wednesday night. About 200 people attended the screening, though Gadot was not in attendance, nor anywhere. Oh, wow. I just putting a message out there and having no tangible connection to events. Interesting. You'd almost have motive in there. According to the LA Times, that may have been due to the SAG-AFTRA strike, which, if that ends up being the case, doesn't that kind of say more about the footage as you have right there? Because, okay, while the strike was still going on, yet only concluded yesterday, it was ratified the first thing this morning. Like I said, I got more on that and how that ultimately shakes out for Hollywood tomorrow. But if she couldn't promote the war footage, doesn't that kind of say that it's a product of Hollywood? Because that would end up running afoul. Anyways, people bearing Israeli flags fighting with pro-Palestinian protesters in the middle of the street can be seen in the video shared on social media, with people punching and kicking one another. Is there any rocks being thrown? Because I hear that's what the real terrorists do. Police had been dispatched to the area outside the museum for security purposes well ahead of the skirmishes, and ended up having to pepper spray several people. Ooh, I bet that made their falafels taste very good. It was not clear whether anyone was taken into custody over the fighting. Yeah, it's just another day. It just seems like it would be something that's newsworthy, but in Los Angeles, it's just another day that ends in Y. The Museum of Tolerance. Opened in 1993 and is meant to examine the history of prejudice around the world with a strong focus on the Holocaust. What about architecture of wooden doors? Oscar-winning director Guy Nativ, who spearheaded the initiative, a big shock on that one, confirmed that I-24, sorry. Oh, is that the same place that ended up leaking that 40 beheaded baby story? Interesting. That Gadot and her husband, Yaron Varsano, helped make this possible. Well, of course, Gal Gadot, doing her mandatory years in the IDF, would have a vested interest, and it would explain a lot of her actions and moves in Hollywood, but okay. The video serves as a damning record of the atrocities perpetuated by Hamas terrorists against Israel communities. Yeah, just the same way that An Inconvenient Truth was a damning record of atrocities when it comes to climate change against Israeli communities in the Gaza border on October 7th, which saw the killing of 1,400 people and kidnapping of 240 hostages. Well, that's very interesting because now that we're moving on, and we got some more information as to what happened on that very day that she purports to show evidence from Israel releasing. Okay, this comes from, yes, the government itself released names of 1,400 plus people who died on October 7th. The majority are soldiers, even according to their own list. Oh, I thought these were innocent people and these were atrocities committed by Hamas specifically with just guys with AK-47s on a paraglider. Interesting. Also, many were killed by IOF soldiers on that day. What do you mean by that? Everybody's name that's there, and then, yeah, as you can see, some of them have specific government and military designations that are on there. Yeah, Master Sergeant. Yeah, that one that's right up there that you can see, Master Sergeant Ziv Dado. Not to diminish the fact that, a bunch of people did end up dying that day. I don't want to take away from that, like that actually is a tragedy. But who ended up pulling the trigger at those music festivals? It's starting to become a little bit more obvious that, well, maybe somebody was using justification. Maybe somebody had information about an attack that was going to happen beforehand, let it all play out, and used it as justification to expand their borders. Who could possibly do that? And who possibly made that proclamation that for an indeterminate amount of time they were going to be providing security forces in certain areas? It's just all very interesting what's coming out. Israel admits Apache helicopters fired on their own civilians running from the Supernova Music Festival. That's the one where all the hostages were taken from. That's the one where all of the paragliders flew in and the ones that committed all the atrocities. The pilots realized that there was tremendous difficulty in distinguishing within the occupied outposts and settlements. Don't need to play that. Okay. Who was a terrorist and who was a soldier or civilian. The rate of fire against thousands of terrorists was tremendous at first, and only at a certain point did the pilots begin to slow down the attacks and carefully select the targets. There's a link out if you don't believe me, or an archive provided there as well. This is how many cars at the music festival ended up destroyed. Apache helicopters. Because, yeah, you would think like an AK-47 or a recommissioned M4 from the United States government that was just left all willy-nilly in Afghanistan that seemed to magically appear over there, just very coincidentally, right? The IDF collected all the destroyed cars and arranged them 1 month after the incident. No, that was those goddamn guys wearing those bandoliers flying across the walls. Of course. This is what we saw, the images, with people burned inside their cars. Obviously, a gun doesn't make this much damage, but an Israeli Apache helicopter does. Israel showed these images to the journalists to justify their genocide in Gaza. Yeah, seems a pretty convenient truth right there. Lieutenant Colonel A reserve pilot to the same unit, described a fog of confusion. I find myself in a dilemma as to what to shoot at because there are so many of them. Fantastic. If you don't know what to shoot at everything that moves. We'll figure it out later. More footage from the Israeli Apache helicopter shooting at the cars. The Apache pilot testifies they fired a huge amount of munitions, emptied the belly of the helicopter in a few minutes, flew to rearm and reunite return to the air again and again. But it didn't help, and they didn't understand, Mako reported. And the Apache helicopters appear to have focused on vehicles streaming back into Gaza from the Nova Electronic Music Festival and nearby kibbutzes. Attacked cars with apparent knowledge that Israeli captives could be inside. They also fired on unarmed people exiting cars and walking on foot through the fields of the periphery of Gaza. One Apache pilot reflected on the torturous dilemma of whether to shoot at people and cars returning to Gaza. He knew that many of these vehicles may have contained Israeli captives, but he chose to open fire anyway. I chose targets like that, the pilot reflected. When I tell myself that the chance that I'm shooting here on hostages as well is low. However, he admitted that his judgment was not 100%. Drone footage from the scene of the music festival shows that the damaged cars they were rearranged by the IDF. Oh, okay, I might as well let that one play for a second, as long as there's no sound. But yeah, no, there isn't right there. Yeah, there they are, looking like they're wanting to leave the festival. Just notice a very similar amount. Obviously, some of them would be rented, but obviously, yeah, okay. There's people on the road right there. Yeah, it's definitely seems a little bit different, and yeah, those are the people that are fleeing right there, so some of it would make sense. Likewise, Israel has admitted to shelling Israeli civilian homes and killing at least 112 Israelis in the process. Wait a minute! According to RIOT, the army was only able to restore control over Berir after admittedly shelling the homes of Israelis who were taken captive. The price was terrible. At least 112 Be'eri residents were killed, the paper chronicled. Yeah, according to Haaretz, a source that even the Israeli government has used before, so there you go. You can take that with whatever you like. Here's an example of one of the homes, the kibbutz that were shelled by Israeli tanks. As you can see, yeah, it's a little bit more than just, a couple of goat fuckers rolling in with some AK-47s, obviously. They're trying to continue, they're trying to community note, Syrian girls post right here. The videos are from October 9th. They own articles admit they're from October 7th. Please make sure the false community notes don't win. And as we sit right now, according to everything else that's down here as well, and this is a very detailed list of things, no community notes at all whatsoever, at least at time of recording. But we kind of know a ting or two when it comes to the community notes and who runs them right now and what side they are on when it comes to these types of skirmishes. So I'll just go ahead and put this out into the world. Hopefully you guys end up seeing this. And if you're still on the fence about a lot of the reporting that's out there, if you're still on the fence, because I know people that normally side on the more conservative things, the right side of things, are kind of caught between a rock and a hard place when it comes to this conflict, because we know vociferously, if you paid even a small amount of attention to the debates that happened yesterday, the conservative side, the Republican side, the normally more common sense side, they are in the tank whole hog for one side of this conflict. Myself, and likely you, if you're still watching, you are on a different side, a separate side, a non-affiliated side. You're just here for the truth. I'm looking at the truth right now, and that's why I'm purporting it to you guys to think of it whatever you will. I know what I'm seeing right now as opposed to what I am not seeing by the other side. The amount of ankle grabbing for Israel, the amount of times that I unironically hear people saying that Israeli students don't feel safe on college campuses, and they're thinking, the conservative side of this thing, thinking that that is some sort of a terrible state of affairs. Meanwhile, if you put any other issue at the heart of this, saying that a university student doesn't feel safe on campus, you would laugh them out of the building. But this right here is a sensitive topic. It involves our greatest ally. It's just as time goes on and more actual evidence gets provided instead of AI generated images and trust me bro, the intercepted communications, the more the veil starts to drop. Just like the longer Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot are out there on the promotion tour for Snow White or Hunger Games or anything that Gal Gadot does, we're going to see that mask slip even more, because these people, well, folks, as a man once said, they're not quite setting their best, folks. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.